Welcome to Left Night with Kendra Dawsey. And now, here's your host, Kendra Dawsey.
Hi everyone. Hey Zach, how's it going?
Good. I'm switching up the cadence a little bit, seeing if I like a little different rhythm to how I say my intro.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Words, just a little different emphasis. It's
experiment like a girl who's going to Smith College. Like do whatever you want.
Right. That's exactly what I would compare it to. So, what's going on with you? What's on your mind?
Well, this is what I'm thinking about this week, everyone. It is obviously Black History Month, so I feel like we should take a little bit of time to talk about one of the many OGs of Black liberation, Haiti. As you may know, Haiti was formed by a mass slave revolt. In fact, it is the only state in history established by a successful slave revolt. However, when that happened, Haiti did not have a lot of fans, obviously. Fearful of the potential impact of the slave rebellion could have in enslaved states of the US President Thomas Jefferson refused to recognize the new republic. And the US was not alone. Many Western republics punished Haiti in many ways. In 1825, French King Charles X, or 10th, whatever, demanded Haiti reimburse and compensate France for the loss of money and trade from Haiti's independence, and only back down when Haiti agreed to pay 150 million gold francs. So basically, the French really are jerks. But of course, lots have changed. Lots of things have changed since the 1800s. We've had lots of anti-colonial movements, abolition of slavery, and even a Black president. So Haiti must be doing okay, right? Well, Haiti has a little bit in common with the US because there too, a president is trying to overstay his welcome. So President Jovenel Moïse was supposed to step down earlier this year, but he insists that he is supposed to stay another year because the first year of his government was an interim government. We actually have a picture of him. We could throw this up here. There he is with Trump, Big Daddy Trump. He is obviously the not white man in the photo. So there's a coup happening here. There has been lots and lots of civil unrest since President Moïse announced that he was not stepping down until 2022. And yet, you would think, US going through something similar, we'd be on the side of the people, right? The people who want to make sure the president leaves. But actually, the Biden administration said it's fine that the Haitian president leaves in 2022. So much has gone. So there's so much to talk about when it comes to the US and Haiti. I mean, obviously, this is also on the heels of President Biden overlooking ICE deporting 20 Haitians, I think even more from the US since his presidency. And also just with, the earthquakes that we've ignored, everyone ignoring Haiti for its first 20 years of independence. So now we're just trying to back this coup guy and it doesn't seem to be going well. What do you think about this, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the classic example of if you are brave enough to go against the Western powers, they will hate you for it, and yep. They will invade you multiple times. They will set up a different, more colonial positive government on the other side of your island. They will maybe tell the U.S. that they're allowed to control the country for an interim amount of time in the early 1900s. It's just sort of classic stuff out of the playbook. Haiti was the first to experience a lot of it, but certainly not the last. And it certainly hasn't gone away, if we know sort of the austerity that was put in by President Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton following the 2010 or 2011 earthquake.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really funny stuff we're talking about today. Today is really one of our happy, jokey episodes.
This is we're just talking about how all Haitians have good skin, even if they're trying to throw a coup of the government, which has already, it's been very tumultuous in Haiti in the 21st century, or in the 20th century. It is. It's pretty rough. I have my full support of those in Haiti who are trying to fight against the current president, trying to get him to step down early, and trying to return Haiti to a more democratic nation. Man, and also France was fucked up for trying to make Haiti pay for no longer being slaves. Putting it out there, putting it out there.
And as a statement of how all of these things are always interconnected. A lot of the unrest that happened in Haiti in the last couple of years that involved U.S. troops going to Haiti to quell uprisings, a lot of those were related to increases in gas prices that made life unaffordable for the people there. Why were the prices of gas going up? Well, because the U.S. also cut off Venezuela's abilities to export gas, which they were doing at a discounted rate to who they considered to be allies, such as Haiti. So it's not; these are not little sort of unconnected things. This is part of a larger attempt by the Western powers to squash any sort of anti-Western solidarity.
Yeah, the wheels of imperialism keep on turning, and it is our duty as people in the imperial court to be like, fuck that. So shout out to all the protesters currently in Haiti. I know that there's also been a rise of kidnappings and things are pretty rough there in addition to COVID-19. I hope Jovenel Moïse steps down soon somehow. And I hope things work out for the best.
Yeah.
On a brighter note, we have, so switching gears a lot, we have another version of Win a Guilty White Man's Money.
Oh, my favorite.
Your favorite? All right. Yeah, I'm glad you're ready for it. So yeah, if you weren't here last week, we'll explain the rules pretty quickly. So the idea is that I ask a few questions about like Black liberation, Black liberation movements, Black labricals, or plain old Negroidian shit to Zach. And for every question he gets wrong, he will have to pay $5 to an organization. I think if we go to the next slide, we'll explain the rules and the organization. Yeah. Oh man, I love that I put that little like thing. I'm so good at PowerPoints. Okay, I had the best PowerPoints in 8th grade. So for every question that Zach gets wrong this week, I know there's 3. We have it a little bit abbreviated, but he'll have to give $5 to Soul Fire Farm, which is an Afro-Indigenous centered community farm committed to uprooting racism and seeding sovereignty in the food system located in New York State. Are you ready, Zach?
I'm born ready, I guess. I was born with this white privilege, so I'm ready to play this game.
Let's do the first question. Oh, well, okay, that's what Soul Fire Farm, that's like their logo. That's not a question, but it's good to know. So question number 1, who was the Black man who escaped him and countless others from slavery by stealing a Confederate warship, joined the Union Army, and then later became a politician? He actually was in Congress. So our choices are Crispus Attucks, Robert Smalls, Cornelius Washington, and Keith Williams.
Okay, so I'm lucky in this regard that I can eliminate Crispus Attucks because I know he was killed in the Boston Massacre.
Yeah, paid attention during elementary school. I like that.
Yeah. And so we got Robert Smalls, Cornelius Washington, and Keith Williams. Okay, so there's no other. I don't know the other 3 names. Some of they sound a little bit familiar, but I don't know them. So I don't think there will be much gained in sort of trying to parse anything out of the names. So I might as well just shoot from the hip. I'm going to say it was Robert Smalls.
Oh my God, you are correct. It was Robert Smalls. Yes, the answer is Robert Smalls. So yeah, during the Civil War, he straight up just stole a Confederate warship with lots of people. Like basically, I think he just drove the ship to the north. And this was after the Emancipation Proclamation. So he was, I don't know if that was the relevant thing that Abraham Lincoln said. Also, he just said that so that like the South would be a little bit more afraid. He didn't care about Black people, but he like took it to the North, freed everyone, and then basically was like, yo, I took a warship to join this army. How Abraham Lincoln, how about like you help me out and let me join the army? Abraham Lincoln was like, okay, cool. And then after the Civil War, he was a Republican in Congress. And I believe either North or South Carolina. I'm not sure which one. But yeah, pretty cool. Just goes to show that sometimes stealing shit is really cool. I'm just saying.
Extremely cool. Yes.
Pretty cool. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next question.
What do you got now?
So who was the Butch lesbian who is believed to be the first arrested in the Stonewall Rebellion? We're, of course, referring to Stonewall, the gay bar in New York City in 1969.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
The first arrest. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe Barbara Smith is part of the Combahee River Collective. So I believe that is what that name is doing in there.
Okay, all right. I'm not saying.
So I'm going to guess Dorothy Allison.
All right, let's check it out. So fortunately, you are wrong. The answer is Stormé de Larverie. Okay. Stormé de Larverie was a butch lesbian and drag king who performed a lot during this time period. Actually, a lot of people say that she was one of the first people to kind of say like, hey, I'm getting arrested. Why aren't people doing anything? And then, of course, after that, stuff started popping off. People were like kind of pushing back from the cops. And then we have a lot of like big names in the gay liberation movement, including Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera. They came later that night when there was a outright brawl.
Right.
Yeah.
That's always been an interesting thing to me that Marsha P. Johnson's sort of been reimagined as like the person who threw the first brick or whatever, even though she never claimed to have done that.
Yeah, she said that she got there like at 2, and I think it had been going for 2 in the morning, and it had been going on for a few hours before then. Like,
right.
And yeah, I agree. I think like, I mean, obviously we want to, give Black trans women their props, and I feel like it doesn't matter who was the first. Like, they were all people who were relevant, right? But I think like sometimes reimagining, it's easy to frame it that way, to be like, oh, she was the first one who did it, and we need to like recognize that, as opposed to like there are a lot of people of different identities who were fighting against the same thing, which is cops.
And she also did an incredible amount of work in terms of Black and gay liberation.
Yes, she did.
That like it's almost like they want to reimagine like how things change with like this like sort of, if one person throws the right brick at the right time, things change.
Yeah.
But it's really the work that you put it on the ground and that she put in the ground we should really be respecting and celebrating the actual hard work that she did. Yes. It wasn't like a right place at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, both Marsha P. Johnson and Stormé de Larverie did a lot of work both before and after Stonewall around gay liberation and Black liberation movements. I believe Stormé de Larverie remained like a bouncer outside of gay clubs, which around that, like now we think like, oh, like that's easy. Like you just have to throw out someone drunk. But at that time it was really scary because cops would come in and raid it pretty often. So yeah, they both did a lot of work. I think both of those histories are so fascinating because they're not known that well, but they're very recent. Like Stormé, like my mom was a kid in New York City when Stonewall happened, right? Like it's not that far from us, but that's why we gotta like appreciate our elders and like interview them and shit. Yeah. All right. So Zach owes $5 so far, which is pretty good. And we have our last question now. So where were the Combahee River Collective, who first created and defined the term identity politics, which is different from how like a lot of people use it. So it wasn't like, oh, like, come on. They weren't like Kamala Harris is a girl boss, right? They were different. Or like, like Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Yes, girl. So where were they based out of? We have Harlem, New York, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Boston, Massachusetts, or Chicago, Illinois.
My understanding is that they were from Cambridge, but I guess Boston fits into that. So I'm going to go ahead and say Boston.
Man, you're right, man. I chose easy questions. I was not on the side of Black people today, man. Zach, stop knowing things about Black people. Okay?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Combahee River Collective. Their statement is must read type of stuff.
Yeah, it is really good. And it's also like it's an early understanding of intersectionality, which Kimberly Crenshaw later like explicitly defined. I believe in like the early 90s. But yeah, it's good stuff. Right. Also, when you read it, I feel like you get a better sense of identity politics rather than like. Right. I think how it's used now. Like they had a very Marxist understanding of it.
Right. It's not about it's used kind of cynically, and then the cynical use of it has caused many people on the left to sort of react negatively towards the idea of identity politics. And it's not the sort of cynical way that you see it leveraged a lot today. It's more about like your understanding of politics of liberation and politics of socialism is informed by your identity and how a capitalist society treats you because of your identity.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, since there were only 3 questions, I guess I will do $10 per one question.
Thank you for being such a good white ally, Zach. So $10 is going to Soulfire Farm. Please look up their website. They are a very cool farm. They've done a lot of great work. I've met one of the people who run the farm, Leah Penniman. She's incredible. And and we'll be back after this short commercial break.
Tonight, we're brought to you by the COVID sweepstakes. One lucky person will get to be the 500,000th person to die of COVID in the United States. That person will get all expenses paid, a free funeral, plus for their family, tickets to see Aerosmith at the Garden. Be sure to get COVID sometime soon because we will probably be passing that number very quickly. And on your way out, be sure to say, I love WXKZ, the COVID. We're going to give it to you live at drive time every night until we get somebody who's our lucky winner. This contest is probably immoral and we will probably not pay it out. But listen to past winners. Oh, no, wait, you can't listen to them because they are dead.
Man, that's kind of dark. You doing okay, Zach?
I don't know. I mean, we gotta keep the lights on. We got whoever's paying for our ads. We gotta, maybe it's a COVID contest.
Wow. We really live in a dystopia, huh? Well, let's try to brighten the mood and talk about some news headlines this past week. So what's been going on this week, Zach?
Hell if I know. Well, COVID is still bad.
It's not as bad, I must say. The amount of new cases each day has decreased, but it's still bad. It's like, it's like if you get drunk and you puke less than you did a week ago, like you're still not doing great.
I made it to my bed tonight, at least.
Yes, like it's kind of like, okay, I like made it to my bed and I'm gonna puke once in my bed instead of puking twice on someone I slept with. Like we're getting there, but very slowly and maybe not quick enough to save more lives.
Something I thought was really funny is that in Florida they are giving they're giving vaccinations to veterans of the Bay of Pigs invasion. It couldn't have anything to do with, I don't know, the fact that Cuba is giving out the vaccine to anybody who's visiting the island because they literally just don't have it. They don't have enough people to give it to.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, so they obviously it's got to suck to try to run Florida and you have to just like constantly be like at odds with this country that's just lapping you like constantly. Like,
even when there's a lot of
yeah.
like people who left Cuba because of the revolution,
right?
And now they're like, if I need a shot, maybe I should. Maybe I should change my name. I'm no longer, Sanchez. I'm Williams.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, well, this island I left, has pretty much solved chronic homelessness and has a vaccine for lung cancer. But I'm here in this paradise where, people on meth fight gators.
Well, there's a lot of, that I would say the socioeconomic class of a lot of Cubans in Miami is probably different than in Cuba, obviously. But the Cuban Revolution is a topic for another time.
Right. Yeah.
What else? There's probably some Cubans in Miami, Florida, who could pay someone to fight those gators for them.
Right.
Maybe not all, but Anyway, what else has been happening this week?
Trump's getting impeached, I guess.
Yeah. I haven't really been
the classic
following it that much. I heard the funny things, nothing funny has really happened yet. It seems like, right? There's it's not like Rudy Giuliani dripped brown goo on the Senate floor, right?
He just turned into a puddle. No, to my knowledge, Trump's lawyer was speaking, and he seemed very very weak, and not making a particularly strong case for his client. That's my understanding. I also heard that they showed a bunch of footage that nobody had seen before, of the inside of what happened during the Capitol riots or whatever. And I guess that means something to some people. You know what? A video of a cop saving Mitt Romney does nothing for me. Not a thing. Mitt Romney, not a hero. Cop, not a hero. I'm flaccid for it.
I'm literally the opposite of excited.
Right.
If my political vagina could get any drier from witnessing that footage, I that's so surprising. I know it'll get some people to be like, wow, it's so bad that a lawmaker had to be protected by the police. But, there are probably other signs that things were bad before that.
Right. Yes. You will not bridge the problems in this country by trying to make the Capitol police officer into a hero. It will come around to bite you eventually.
Yeah. I was reading the article about the black cop who was there, and
that's
how he was like, wow, some of my coworkers were supporting these people, and I got called the N-word 15 times and they didn't do anything to help me. And I was kind of I know it might feel bad to realize that, but I probably could have told you that, just so you know.
Was it his first day on the job by any chance?
I don't think so, but it's hard realizing people are racist. I feel like if you are a cop, that's probably kind of a given. I would be less if a teacher. I don't know what's another job where there's not that many. If someone who worked in a burger joint realized that his coworkers were racist.
What's a job in America where there are not many racists?
Where it's not known for organizing racists, right? There's racists in burger joints, but it's not hey, do you hate black people?
Right.
Flip burgers for us.
Right.
Do you just feel like hitting people and preying on marginalized in society? Flip burgers.
Right.
But I'm kind of dude, you could have probably read a few articles before you signed on to be a cop and learned what you learned that day. Trump's being impeached. Yes. Who knows what the fuck is going to happen? I haven't really been following too intensely because I think I'm going to be kind of disappointed.
Right. We've sort of hit the. I think we've hit. We spent the last year and change just constantly with all the stimuli, and we're just sort of hitting this sort of very boring. Biden will do some stuff, and it won't be particularly good, and keep they'll keep talking about Trump just to get a little bit more taste of that sweet Trump high, just while they can still keep talking about him.
I like how you compared talking about Trump to cocaine.
Yes.
Which it might be. Maybe there are people familiar with both. Actually, they probably are.
Right. Yes. Yeah. But for the media, we're at these rub your fingers and stick it in your gums sort of point.
Whereas maybe the media should just take a break from coke and I don't know, like not focus on Trump so much so that his ego inflates. But you can't tell a coke addict anything. One thing I do want to mention before we get into our last segment of the night is Robert Kennedy apologized to Bernie Sanders for using the words ignorant slut around him, which I think is the wildest political Mad Libs that has come about this week. And that's my favorite part.
That was. Do you know what that reference is to?
It's like a SNL sketch from like the 70s,
like
right?
50 years ago. It's that like that's sort of the level of who we're dealing with in Congress. That their most recent pop culture reference they can make is to a SNL Weekend Update joke from 1978.
Yeah, they could do better. Like update it. Like think about when someone else was called a mean word. Like even the School of Rock kid, where like he looks at Jack Black and he's like, "You're tacky and I hate you." That would be an updated reference. That's something
that was in this millennium. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to our last segment of today. Zach, do you have any closing remarks for us?
Yeah, I do. So Mike Lindell, otherwise known as the Pillow Doofus, put out a movie earlier this week trying to prove once and for all how the election was rigged against Trump. And obviously we know that it's all nonsense, and a lot of people had a lot of fun making fun of it. And it's not particularly out of character of what a lot of Republicans and conservatives do believe about the state of elections and how they're broken and they're rigged or whatever. The point I want to make is that they're doing this because they already won. They spent the last decade or so. They got the Civil Rights Act rules about vote auditing struck away. They've made a million hoops that you have to jump through in order to get to vote in a lot of states, closing voting spaces. What was described in North Carolina as a surgical disenfranchisement by a court. They already won in terms of that. And how they're going to continue to win is by making people on the left and Democrats who they believe are the left argue that actually our polling is quite good and the way that we have our elections is very good. Don't buy into that for a second. It's not good. It's very bad. There's going to be a lot of people defending the status quo, and you have to push past that. We need something better. Just basic sort of expansion of voting abilities, automatic voter registration. I don't know, getting rid of things like the Electoral College and the Senate that do not represent us in a democratic way. The United States is not a democratic country, and we don't have enough time to go into all the ways it's not a democratic country. But do not play into this idea that simply rebuking claims of voter fraud is enough to do something to expand democracy. There is no democracy in the United States, but you can push a little bit further.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach. And everyone, stick around for some Quarantine Action Wrestling. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we will see you next week.